turn that down a little bit. All right, bet. Y'all seen the title? If y'all watching this, you're in the right place. You know what I'm saying? So this is not gonna be a long one. It's gonna be just a brief discussion on why God can trust you, and I'm gonna illustrate this by just basically testifying about what I just went through. All right. So this is real life experience, but it really puts it in perspective. I think a lot of times when we get a word, we don't get too much of how is this practical, or what does that actually look like, or you know what I'm saying. So I think this would be very much POV. I mean, I don't know how to get any more this is real life than this, but all right, here we go. So, and I got my checklist to keep me on track, because something about that camera turning on, you just man, where's that? Okay, I got my pen. All right, here we go. So, first box, my airport experience, right? So I just got done traveling, and I flew out to Phoenix to visit a friend, and then I went to meet up with my family who was also on vacation, and I was gonna spend the rest of the week with them in Tennessee. So my flight was from Phoenix to my connecting flight, which was in Dallas. So I was going from Phoenix to Dallas, and then from Dallas to Knoxville. That was basically my flight pattern. That's what my trip was gonna be, right? And so the flight down there was chill. The flight to Phoenix was, we on time, we chilling, everything went as planned, we good. You feel me? My flight to Phoenix, it was very low maintenance. There was delays because of some weather that Dallas was having. But overall, it was good. I got, you know what I'm saying, I'm chilling. Except it got delayed 2 hours. 2 hours isn't a long time, because I've had way worse layovers. But yeah, anyway, I get to Dallas, and I'm expecting a delay, at least for my next flight, because every flight got delayed, right? So it's my initial flight was delayed and my connecting flight was delayed. So we should still be in the same pocket with each flight, right? Ideally. Well, at least that's what the lady told us. And it made sense when she explained it. But looking back, I'm I should just flew direct. I get to Dallas, and my flight gets delayed more. Gets delayed again. We move gates, and then the flight gets canceled. And I'm like, yo, I've never had a flight get canceled before, and I haven't flown without flying with somebody besides just a couple of times. So I've only done this 3 times tops, and I've never had to deal with a canceled flight before, because the weather was permitting each time I flew. That's just how luck happens when you don't fly too often. Or I guess that's what happens when you play with chance and you don't fly too often. It's a lower chance you get dumped on by the weather. So, yeah, first flight gets canceled. I'm well, let me go talk to somebody. I flew with American Airlines, and this is my first time flying with them. So I just went to one of their help desks, and then there was 70 people in that line. So I went to another one that they had to see if that line was shorter. And that line was longer. So I just went to another, I just went to the, one of the desks by a gate where there wasn't anybody boarding or anything. So it wasn't I'm interrupting something. I just went up and asked, hey, is it possible for you to help me find another flight on the way to Knoxville? Because that's where I was trying to go. And my flight just got canceled. So he's like, yeah, we got one leaving, blah, blah, blah. He switched me over to that flight. I'm like, okay, cool, no charge, no harm, no foul, bet, get me in there. And eventually that flight ended up getting delayed longer. Then it got delayed again. We moved gates twice. And then that flight got canceled. And I was like, it's a sick prank. So by then, I had spent most of the day in the airport. I mean, each flight got delayed north of 2 hours. So 4 hours between that and how long it took to get into the airport. And then I finally found a flight, not to Knoxville, but to Chattanooga. And this was a part, right? This is a part, this is like the crux of everything. So listen to this closely, right? So I go up to the desk and I'm asking the guy, like, hey, my second flight to Knoxville has just gotten canceled. Like, this is the second one to get canceled. I'm inexperienced in this area. Is there anything, like, are there any flights to even get near Knoxville, right? Like, it's, by this time, it's like 4 something, 5 o'clock. No, by then it was 6 something. I remember it was after 6 p.m., right? It was after 6 p.m. after 1800, 24-hour time. So I'm like, is there anything? Because I'm running out of time. I'd really like to get to my family tonight if I can. I really am not trying to overnight this, but it wouldn't have been bad. I know some people in Dallas hold them fine, but I just wanted to see my family. I hadn't seen them in a while. It would have just been good to see them. But he's like, yeah, there is actually this one flight in Chattanooga. And I'm like, doesn't sound like Knoxville, but Chattanooga, I actually, like, when I had called my mother earlier that day, she had mentioned, hey, see if there's a flight in Chattanooga or something. And when I looked at the departures that day, there wasn't anything in Chattanooga besides what had already departed. And so it was just like a shot in the dark when I asked the dude, hey, is there anywhere I can go in Tennessee tonight? And he said there is a flight to Chattanooga, but it's later at 9 o'clock. It's going to be departing late 8 o'clock hour, early 9 o'clock hour. And I was like, put me on that, please. And I went and called my mom, and it turns out we have some really close family relatives that live in Chattanooga. And I was like, yo, that's cool. I'm not gonna lie, like, throughout that day, with each thing that was weighing on me, like, not only was my social battery beginning to deplete, like, it was depleted by the start of the day. I had just done like a full trip in Scottsdale and seeing some of my closest friends and have fun and stuff. So I'm ready to just go chill out and like go be out the way. But instead I spent the whole day in the airport around people I don't know. Everywhere I turn, it's crawling with people. I just needed a space where like I can just like be away from everyone, at least for a little bit. And it felt like I couldn't even find that. Like, I'm talking about like, can I just get 5 minutes where I don't hear people like anywhere near me? And that's like nowhere to be found at that airport, bro. And maybe I just don't know it well enough, but I was like starting to get like stressed, but in a way of like, it's pissing me off. Like I was just getting like a different type of anger. And then like, it just seemed like there was no sense of urgency with some of the people that was like helping me. And you go through all this to get your flight moved, and then it gets canceled. After we moved 2 or 3 gates, y'all went from being like, yeah, we're just gonna move you guys to this gate because this plane's coming in late. And then after we waited 2.5 hours and moved 2 gates, and you know what I'm saying, I'm in these, never mind, I ain't even gonna say that. But after we moved 2 gates, I done moved terminals, all of a sudden, just kidding, the plane's actually not coming in, so that flight just got canceled. And I'm like, yo, these is people's lives, bro. Like, what if I actually did have a family to go home to? Like, I did, though. But, like, what if this was kind of serious? And, that's how it happened, like, 3 times. And so when I went up there and I asked and things just fell into place like that, like, I want to leave it to chance, but, like, I don't just believe in coincidences anymore. And that's something I wanted to touch on is, like, I have it written down right here, right? I'm not done. It was actually really cool because when I flew into Tennessee and got reacquainted with those people, like, I had a really great night of just catching up with them, and it was just rich conversation. It was stuff I was not expecting to glean from, or it was just conversations I didn't even know I needed. Good perspective to get from them. It was just, I don't know, it was beyond refreshing. It was wholesome, right? And it's stuff I did not know to look for. I feel like in our day-to-day life, when we're so busy or we have our flow of life or whatever, it's easy to just kind of fix a lens on what we think we need as we grab and go, because life has its pace. and everything about my experience was outside of my grab and go pace. And at a certain part, it was sobering. At a certain part, it was angering. But as a whole, it was enriching because when I actually got to a place of rest, it was the fullness of what rest could be. Man, I got to my relative's house, and it was just like, they was treating me like I was in a hotel. I mean, they didn't have to go above and beyond like that. And I'm not saying every time things work out, it'll be like that. But just being on the other side of that was like, I did not go through that for nothing. Like, that was actually good. And so I just hope even this point of the conversation is encouraging, because I know that everybody's going through something. But you don't go through things for no reason. And just when you get on the other side of it, you can look back and receive rest because you made it through. Like, it's literally over and you can breathe now. Eventually you'll be able to laugh about it. I can laugh about it now, kinda, and I'll get like pissed off for a second. So I'm not quite where I want to be with like getting over this, but like just processing it. I'm like, yo, this actually worked out really well. And then the next day I got to, we went on a little drive and I got to meet up with my family the next day. So it wasn't a big deal. The airport did lose my luggage temporarily, but eventually they found it. They said they would reimburse me, so that was cool. And I now, on the other side of it, like on the other side of everything, have nothing to worry about. I'm chilling. And so just looking back on it, like how I tie like my faith into it, is just how things fell into place perfectly. I know sometimes things like this can happen with chance, but I don't believe this is a chance thing when it goes as far as it did in the good side, right? On a spectrum from good to bad, it went from like, I'm going to roundhouse some like the next person to really like drag their bag over my off-white shoes because they feel like their time is more valuable than mine, and we're both trying to get home. Like, that would get you roundhouse. It went from that type of bad to like on the other side of good. It's like, man, I'm glad this happened, and I never thought I'd say that by the end of the day. So it was kind of cool, and I think that's why there was more something to it. I believe that there was favor on that. Finding that last minute flight, for me it was last minute. I think finding that flight had some favor on it because I wasn't like, I don't know, somewhere in that I still trusted that God was gonna show up, even though things kept getting worse and worse. And it was literally at a point I walked from terminal A to B, which I should have just took the SkyTrain. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I'm in these heavy shoes. I only wore those off-white shoes because I didn't want my luggage to be that heavy, my check bag. I didn't want it to be that heavy. And those shoes would have made it way too heavy. So I just wore them because I wasn't expecting to scale the whole terminals. And so I'm going from terminal A to B, and I'm just like, I really could just throw in a towel. I'll call up my bro. I'll just stay with him tonight, and it wouldn't be nothing wrong with that. But then I was like, bro, what if I keep searching, bro? Like, what if there's more to it? It made me dig deeper, and I was like, I think even that right there was God helping me, because I did not want to keep talking to people. I was peopled out when I arrived, but something in me just wanted to dig deeper and keep trying, and it ended up working out. It was cool. But I said all that to say, I did not earn an open door. It wasn't because I've been like the golden child, or because I remembered to pray every day, or because I read my Bible every morning, that God was like, ooh, I'm gonna get him. It wasn't like a transactional thing. But what it was, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, I was praying like then and there, like that day. I'm praying, I'm like, Lord, I really need you to come through, because like I'm not, like, this not passing the vibe check. Like, this is not hidden. It sucks. You know, be as open and honest as the psalmist is. And I'm praying, but I just, in my discernment, like, I know that's not what moved things. Like, that's not what opened the door. Of course, my prayer was heard day of. Of course, he hears you the split second you call this biblical. But because me and God have history, right? There's a history of God has come through for me. And I'm like, I know this is a new situation, and I've never dealt with something quite like this before, but the track record shows that he's never forgotten about me. He hasn't. So there's something to rely on. There's something I can still put. There's still a reason for me to put my eggs in this basket. There's a reason for me to keep pushing and believe that something's gonna be on the other side. And it's like, no matter how dark no matter how dark it got, I still shot in the dark, man. And it wasn't blindness though. It was muscle memory at that point. Because God has come through before when it felt like a shot in the dark. He's come through another time before that when it felt like a shot in the dark. And I'm like, man, this is kind of lit. I remember when like starting music felt like a shot in the dark. And I think like waking up, like you fast forward to now, and I wake up to notifications of like, oh, this like Christian hip hop magazine. Like, oh yeah, they put you in the Instagram post on songs to look out for. I'm like, that's kind of lit. And then I check my streams from like my release like the night before, and I'm like, dang. So it's like, I remember when all of that was just a thought, and it was something I could have just threw away. But I took a shot in the dark because I didn't know too much about the industry. I didn't know how to navigate. I had rhythm, but I wasn't the best at writing or even expressing myself. So me being a rapper was like, yeah, right. I could make beats, and that was basically all I had to my name at the time. So me being a rapper was a shot in the dark. But it's going well so far. I like my visualizer in the back. But I'm gonna be honest, bro. It's like me and God have history, and we overcome by our testimony. So it's like when your future look like it's being messed up, bro. The only time your history should matter is when you looking back on how much God has brought you through. That's what's gonna help you. And yeah, I didn't earn an open door. God just got me like that. And the reason why I say that is because, hold on. Let me make sure I'm going through this right. Yeah, this type of help comes when you and God. I had to write it down. This type of help comes when you and God have history, and I say that because we've been through things together, right? When I say we have history, it's not our first time going through stuff together, and we're going through these stuff together because I have a habit of inviting Him into my situations. You know, it's like God is a gentleman, and He don't invite Himself into your spaces. He don't invite Himself into your life. You know, your relationship with God is a relationship. And if He's just forcing Himself in, there's no element of love there. That's just obligation. You're stuck with Him. That's not love. But if you want to spend that time, you want that intimacy, that closeness, you got to invite Him. He's not going to invite Himself. And so I think a lot of times, like, people look at the world and be like, where is God? But if you actually evaluate the world does not want God. So why are you looking for Him in it? The world doesn't want Him. But if you know people personally who do want God, you can see how, like, over time their heart has changed. Please notice how I said over time, because nobody Thanos snaps into glory or goodness, right? When you have a heart change and you build your relationship with Christ, it's time. It's time consuming. It's an investment, constant. But when you look back, you see how far you've come. It's worth it. You know, there's people like friends I've made, and just people I've impacted, good acquaintances, like every category, just people who, you know, they tell me like how I've impacted them, and I'm thankful that I've been able to. Some of them, they've seen me from when I was like young and cringy, and I went through that rebellious phase, and then when I was just self-destructive, and then to where I am now, and everything in between. Dude. And then there's other people that only met me with like how I am now. And I'm like, hey man, you're so cool. And it's like, I used to suck, bro. Not everybody sees your journey, and that's one thing to note, you know. I'll be honest, there's some people who they only see the person that's on their journey when they sucked. They didn't see them get better, and they assume that that's how most Christians are. And that's just not the truth, man. You know, I think if you only get a glimpse of someone's life, it's really hard to sum the whole thing up with a glimpse. You know, it's hard to judge the movie off the previews. They have to condense the plot, and I think you can't do people's lives like that. Yeah, it's kind of like the cliche of like, don't judge a book by its cover. Even though normally there's a summary on the back of the book, there's not a summary of someone's life tattooed on their back. So when they walk past, it's hard to get a good reading on who they are. So it's better to just save the assumption and get to know somebody. And the people that took the time to get to know me, they saw my life has changed, or they see my life as it's changed. And I think both are valuable. But let's understand that it's taking time. And over that time, I've learned how to invite God into spaces and into my heart and into situations so I can be more Christ-like. Sometimes I don't have the strength to choose being Christ-like, and that's when I call on Him. That's when I remind myself of certain scriptures. And because I read the Bible, when I catch a thought and I wonder if it's God talking to me, or when somebody says something, I line it up with His word, with His standard, and I see if this is Him influencing it or not. It's not rocket surgery or brain science. I say it backwards on purpose. But yeah, we've been through things together. I've history inviting him into situations, and he knew he could help me. The last thing I'm gonna say, God knew He could help me. And what I mean when I say that is, like, first of all, He knew that I would free somebody else by telling them about how God has helped me. And let me break this down, because God does not help you just so you can go talk about it, right? He helps you to help you, right? But He's even more generous with the help. It seems like, it feels like, it looks like, the evidence tells me of my natural, just my experience. He's more generous with the help when He knows I'm gonna be vocal about it, right? And it's like, if I just got really good help, why would I not want somebody else to get help if they want it, if they need it? Sometimes people need help and don't want it. They still need it. So I'm gonna tell them anyway. Same reason why I'm in front of the camera saying it now. So whether you're ready to receive this or not, that's what it looks like on the playing field. That's what it looks like POV. God knows He can help me. He also knows He can challenge me with some things, because it's going to get talked about when it's all said and done. I'm gonna talk about the challenge I went through. I'm gonna talk about how I got through it. I'm on the other side of it, and I'm gonna talk about how it helped, because it's going to help somebody else. There's probably somebody stuck at the airport right now watching this, and that's fine. They're not gonna be stuck there forever. So take heart. In this world there will be trouble. Jesus said, take heart, or I've overcome the world. And it's like, that should give you peace. And that leads me to my last point. He knew He could help me because I would receive it. Just like I received that passage giving me peace, because He says He's overcome the world. I trust His sovereignty. Same way, He can help me because He knows He can help me, because I will receive the help. I will receive correction. I will receive wisdom. Even though I feel like I got my own level of wisdom, even though I feel like I got my own level of knowledge, intellect, fill in the blank, I will still receive correction and help from other people. Even if they telling me stuff I already know, I will receive it, because that just means they're confirming. Which means I'm already going in the right direction. There's nothing wrong with that. It don't make you stupid if people telling you stuff you already know. It don't make you stupid if people want to correct you. A lot of times people want to correct you, they want to help. Some people do it out of arrogance. Do not judge them. They need to figure out what makes them feel important, and that's on them. But God knew He could help me because He knew I would receive it. There's some people that just will not receive God's help, and they wonder why He stopped talking to them. And that's what's funny. It's because to you it seems like He stopped talking. He didn't. You stopped listening. You're not receiving it. Your ears closed, just like your heart is. And that's what needs to change. So being able to receive it, what does that look like? Sometimes it's like I told my bro, sometimes you gotta like outwardly say like I received that. So when my friends compliment me, because I have good friends, when they compliment me and they honestly tell me like how I'm doing and they bring correction into that, I'd be like, yeah, I received that, bro, and I'm going to work on that. And then we hold each other accountable when I say something to them and they let me know that they receive it and they're about to work on it. We hold each other accountable and we build that way. If you're like rock climbing, not actually rock climbing, but like you're on the wall at the YMCA and there's that weird one you got to get your foot onto, right? To be told something and you're expected to build off it, but you don't receive it. It's like when your foot goes on, it slips right off. But to receive it is to get your foot firmly gripped on there, and then to go implement it and have accountability is being able to put your weight on the foot that's on that rock you're planted on and then build up from there. I mentioned rock climbing because it's a process and it's a system of constant just building. And it can all be it can all go away with some bad moves, bad mistakes. You can regress with some bad decisions and relapses and stuff. And it doesn't disqualify you, but it just means you have to start building again. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that to y'all. I'm not gonna say too much because I want everyone to I want it to be easy to digest. So, yeah, man. Hope that was cool for y'all. If not, I don't care. But yeah, y'all stay safe, man. If I get back on, it's gonna be game time, so I'm gonna be playing something. But yeah, y'all take it easy. I really hope y'all doing well. So I'm back though. I was gone for like 2 weeks, but I'm back. So.